By reading the disclaimer provided, you are in agreement and giving consent that you are able to participate in the following yoga practice.
Hello, my yoga friends. Our Minisode today will focus on Pigeon Pose. I showed you Pigeon Pose in our gentle evening hip opener yoga episode, and we did a restorative pigeon using our bolster. So now I want to show you a classic Pigeon Pose. Pigeon Pose is a yoga pose that helps to open your hip flexors, and it can help to ease lower back pain. It is a great way to increase flexibility and stretch your muscles. So we're going to do step by step, and I'll show you ways that you can support yourself in this pose. Let's start off once again in our tabletop position. Our knees hip distance apart. Stack your hips above your knees and your shoulders above your wrists. Now bring your right leg forward and tuck your foot in towards your body, and then you'll just slowly draw your left leg extending towards the back. Square your hips towards the front, and depending on your degree of your flexibility will determine how far out your front leg is in front of you. The more parallel your front shin is towards the mat, the deeper the intensity of this pose. So mine is basically more neutral. It's a little bit closer to my body because I have very tight hips and I need to work on that. So you will find that you can support yourself with your hands in front of you, shoulders down away from your ears, and just breathe here. Your back foot is down, pressed down towards the ground. Now, if you feel that you have a big gap right under your hip and your glute, you can place a blanket under your hip to give it extra support, like so. And if your hands can't reach all the way down onto the mat, you can take your block and rest your hands onto the mat. Onto the block. Just breathe here and try to feel the sensation of your hip stretching and opening. Now, to deepen this pose, you can come down onto your forearms. You can use your block on a medium height or maybe higher in the high position. I'm going to use it in the medium height. So this allows you to go down a little more and deepen the stretch. Keep your shoulders down and back. Try and relax your neck. Continue to breathe. Now, if you want to continue to challenge yourself, you can lower all the way down. You can remove the block and come down onto the mat. And you can bring your hands all the way forward. Bring your head down towards the ground. And this is our resting pigeon pose. Now slowly come back up. So whichever way you want to practice this pose, depending on your degree of flexibility and how accessible this pose is for you, those are different positions. You can start off high. You can use your block if you need to. You can lower down onto your forearms on a block, or you can come all the way down onto the mat and all the way down to a resting pigeon pose. Slowly rise back up. Now we'll do the opposite side. Tuck your toe in. Slowly bring your leg back towards you. And come back to your center position. And maybe you can do some hip rotations to kind of loosen up your hip, releasing it from that pose. Okay, let's do the opposite side. So once again, come to your neutral tabletop, and if you do need a blanket for your knees for extra support, you can also do that. Okay? Now, bring your left leg in front of you, your foot tucked in towards your body. Slowly slide your back leg towards the back and come up on your hands. Make little adjustments with your foot. Square your hips to the front. And we used a blanket under our hip if you find that there is a gap there. You can also place a block under your hip depending on how big the gap is, okay? So either a blanket or a block under your hip to give balance to your body in your pigeon pose. I find that for myself, a blanket is sufficient for the extra support under my hip. Okay, take a moment to breathe here. Okay, slowly come down. You can come down onto your forearms or come down onto a block. It just depends. Some days you're flexible and you can go all the way down to the mat. Some days your hips feel tighter and you may need the extra support of your blocks. The main thing is to listen to your body. Give your body permission and invite it slowly in these poses. If it resonates with you, you can lower down onto the mat and you can go into a resting pigeon pose. If you can't extend your hands all the way forward, you can place your head onto a block as well. If you can't extend it all the way forward, like me, I do feel tighter on this side, so I'm going to use the block and I'm going to do my resting pigeon pose with my head on the block. Okay, slowly come back up. Tuck your toe, your back foot, tuck your toes, and then slowly bring your front leg back and come out of your pigeon pose. Now do some gentle hip rotations on that opposite side, releasing your hips. And that is a classic pigeon pose.